The Purposeful Wisdom Podcast. My name is Dawne Christine. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Purposeful Wisdom Podcast. This is Dawne Christine.
And I'm Dee May.
And today on the podcast, we have a very special guest, Mr. Rahul Joglekar. Rahul is an accomplished leader with rich experience spanning financial services, retail, and engineering industries. Rahul is a down-to-earth approach in interacting with others. He is active in public speaking as well as coaching and volunteering. His life purpose is to make people's tomorrow progressively better than today through his insightful and motivational stories and messages. He has spoken on topics related to servant leadership, vision and purpose, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, innovation, growth strategy, and diversity and inclusion. Rahul, welcome to the podcast. So nice to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's exciting.
It's so great to have
Great
you
to be here. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So we would like to start out our podcast by asking you, what does purposeful wisdom mean to you?
Sure. Thanks, Dee, for the question. And that is a very pertinent, relevant, and important question, especially in today's world. Many times what we think wisdom is gained through experience over the years. So the assumption is that as a person grows older, he or she becomes more wise. But only that wisdom is not enough to make life more fulfilling, more rich, and more valuable. A tinge, even just a tinge of purpose added to that wisdom makes life far more enjoyable, far more enriching. What do I mean by purpose? Purpose is something which makes you wake up in the morning. It makes you excited for the day. So today is Monday, for example. Many people feel that Monday is so boring. They hate Mondays. But if you have a purpose in life, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Even the weekends would be wonderful enough. Even Mondays or Fridays would be great. A purpose is something which drives you day in, day out, day and night. Without a purpose, as I always fondly tell people, without a purpose, it's like a body without a soul. So purpose is something which is so pertinent, so important for us. Many people don't realize that in the mad rush of life, we just keep running day after day. But if we don't have a purpose, we might be just transactional. We might be just living life and surviving it rather than enjoying the enrichment of it.
That's very true. Very true. And that enrichment is very important. Very.
I love that. I love that answer, Rahul. So tell our viewers today, how did you get started on your journey of helping and inspiring others?
Sure. It's a funny story from my childhood. And since I do public speaking, I always tell this story to people who lack confidence, who are afraid of public speaking, because as many of us know, some of us don't know, the fear of public speaking is the biggest fear in the world, even more than the fear of death. And I tell people, it's just a fear in your mind, nothing else. It's all here in between the two ears. So take it out from there. Just think about what you want to talk, what your message is. And the story that I wanted to tell you about is when I was a 5-year-old boy. And I had the opportunity to recite a hymn on stage. Hymn, as all of us know, is a perfectly by-hearted piece of prose poetry. No rocket science, no preparation required. Piece of cake. No, it was far from piece of cake. When I stepped onto the stage, the only thing that I could say was, my name is Rahul. I just stood there as if petrified, and I walked off the stage equally petrified and embarrassed. That was probably the most embarrassing day of my life. But then my dad, he was my biggest mentor. He sat with me, a heart-to-heart conversation, which I still remember every day. He passed away 16 years back, but I still remember every word of that conversation. He said, Rahul, the reason that this happens to you is because you fear the unknown. It's all within your mind. You are just a 5-year-old boy. The same thing can happen to a 50-year-old person too. And it's the fear of the unknown. It's that anxiety factor. You don't know what will happen to you when you step on the stage, when you talk to people or attempt to talk to people, whether they will mock you, whether they will laugh at you, whether they will be out to get you, you never know. It's all in your mind. So just get it out of there. Just focus on the message that you want to deliver to people. Focus on connecting with the audience. And those sentences always ring in my ears, even till today, because it is so true. We oftentimes, or many times, we focus on the audience. Yes, focusing on the audience is important. Addressing their needs is absolutely important. But if you get fixated on the audience and their reactions, you will never be able to get out your impactful message to them. And that will be the death of your public speaking. So that was one instance in my childhood which really drove me on that road of passion towards public speaking, towards inspiring people, towards motivating them to do something in their life, something worthwhile, something meaningful, so that when they exit this world, they know that they have made an impact on the world. Having an impact is so much more important. We always talk about outcomes. In corporate world, in life, we always chase outcomes. Rightly so, because nothing comes out of charity. But if you don't create that far-reaching impact to society, the outcomes will fade away soon. Impact never fades away. So that's when I decided to do something about this fear, about inspiring people, motivating people, making sure that my stories, my messages, my insights are helpful to them. And that's what I do day in, day out.
And what did you do to
That's
overcome that
amazing.
fear?
I had to take some training on public speaking. Fortunately for me, I got jobs where there was an element of public speaking involved. So my first job was with Siemens, and that's a world-class organization. 1 year into the job, they said, okay, 5 of you, we want to create a video for new entrants. So the new recruits will see this video clip. And in that video, we had to talk, obviously, a lot of good things about the company and the work culture and everything. And rightly so, it was an amazing environment. But that was the first time in my life ever that I had to face a video camera. And speaking in front of a live audience is equally scary, but speaking in front of a video camera is some different ball game. So they had to have a lot of takes. They had to make sure that we don't look awkward, we don't look scared, and things like that. But that was a great, great experience that we got. Talking to the camera, talking to the audience, and addressing them eye to eye. And that was one experience which really helped me overcome a lot of my fear of public speaking. Fortunately, after that job, I got into consulting. Consulting, as all of us know, involves a lot of talking.
Yes, it does.
Talking to clients, talking to large teams, talking in workshops, seminars, meetings, whatever you can think of. But most important that many people forget is effective communication is a failure if you don't listen. Consulting makes you listen intently. If you don't listen, you don't know what the client wants, what the team feels about it. whether things are going right or wrong. So you have to listen actively. And that's one thing I started gaining traction on, experience on. Consulting life really enriched my whole professional persona. And it helped me get to that stage where I can confidently speak to people without any fear of the unknown.
Rahul, do you feel that it's just in people's heads of fear of the unknown, or do you feel that ego has something to do with it too, that people have to act a certain way, look a certain way, have all this perfectionism around just getting the message out? Because obviously I'm not a professional public speaker at all, but I know that one of my missions is to spread knowledge to others. And that's why this podcast exists right now. So what would you say to people such as myself that don't have any public speaking background at all, but people want to get their message out to the world? What would you say to encourage them to follow that?
Sure. I would certainly say just put yourself out there and witness the magic happen in one sentence. Because unless you put yourself out there, you will not know how nice it feels for yourself, for the people who are listening to you. One important thing that people forget is the very fact that they are speaking, even if it's not on stage, even if it's in a meeting, a small meeting with just 10 people, the very fact that they're standing and speaking to that group of 10 people means the people want to listen to them, which means they have something valuable to share. That's an assumption. People want to know what they want to share. So just be authentic. Authenticity goes a long way in effective communication. I've always told people, be authentic, be 100% true to yourself. Let your message come out from your heart, then it will reach people's hearts. Our mind plays games. It manipulates the messages. It manipulates what we want to say to people. But if it comes from the heart, it touches people's hearts. So I've told people always, always be authentic. Authenticity shows.
And agree more with that statement.
Yes, I agree also. Authenticity is hugely important. And what would you say to people who want to speak but feel like they may not have the value that someone who's been doing it longer has?
That's an interesting question, Dee. And I have been through that stage in my life when I was not in consulting, when I was very junior in my professional career. I've I've been through that stage. So the very fear that you may not know enough to open your mouth in a meeting room or a room full of people who have a lot of experience is daunting. I've told people, don't worry. If you don't speak up, you will never know the magic that can happen. If you speak up, people might say, okay, this person has something valuable to add. They may not have the same perspective as you have. Perspectives matter. Opinions are different, but perspectives are important. Unless you present your perspective, they will not know that you have something valuable to add. If they will not know, they will just think you're just a fly on the wall, and they will never think you are important. Unless you elevate your own importance, it will never happen. So just speak up. As I said, it doesn't matter in the initial few instances. It might sound a little foolish, for lack of a better word. That's okay. At least you have spoken. You have shown the guts and heart to speak. If you don't speak, people will think you are dumb. You are not dumb. So speak up.
Great. That's great. That's great advice. Just speak up. Yeah.
I love it. So what is one thing about you that people might find surprising? I know we talked about that you have all this servant leadership and mindfulness and growth strategy and you speak publicly, but what's one thing that people may not know about you that you would like to share with our viewers?
Thanks.
Caught you
Thanks.
off guard there, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, that was a great question, Dawn. If I have to select among the few things that people may find surprising about me or people may not know, there's one thing which my serious demeanor does not give away, and that is the fact that I sing.
Ooh. What do
How
you
long have you been
sing?
singing?
I sing anything that my heart feels like singing.
My favorite
Obviously,
answer
I'm not
ever.
into rock and I'm not into rock and roll though, but I sing something which is melodious, something meaningful, something which touches the heart. And on to your question, I've been singing ever since I was a child. Obviously, it starts with they call it bathroom singing, but
Mm-hmm.
it developed into a liking, a passion. I've never learned music, formal music, but I've always listened to famous singers from India, from the US, and I've always been fascinated by the way they can weave a story, they can invoke emotions which otherwise would be hidden in your heart.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And music is so crucial. That's honestly what grounds me a lot too. I'm very passionate about music. I'm very passionate about the storytelling behind the music. So I think music is a very good way to ground yourself. It's a good way to just, settle down for the end of the night or start your day off because music is associated with moods too. So if you're feeling happy, you're going to put on certain types of music that you can resonate with. And when you're feeling maybe emotional or sad, there's music, there's the lyrics out there that can touch your heart in such a place that I can't even describe. Music's a huge passion. My whole life is revolved around music. So I really can relate to that very much. Very, very much.
Nice.
It is. So what
I
is
love
your
that.
what
I
is
love
your
that.
favorite song to sing? Do you have a favorite song?
So, since you ask, what I have done in the past is I'm part of Toastmasters. That's a group that many people know. It's about public speaking, elevating confidence. And in a couple of those Toastmasters meetings, I have weaved in a couple of lines of a song in my presentation or a speech, which becomes more creative, more interesting for people, and they're like caught off guard. Oh, okay, that's something new. That's interesting. So the singers that I like over here, obviously Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, those are the voices which are deep and which create a meaning in whatever they sing. And I have incorporated a couple of Elvis songs in some of my Toastmaster speeches, especially the one where he says, "Wise men say fools rush in," and things like that.
Good one.
Yes.
I love that.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
because I wanted to essentially say that at the end of it, I wanted to say Toastmasters is something which I have fallen in love with, and he has those lines in the song, so it was kind of synonymous.
I love that. I love that. And I love the way you're finding new ways to captivate your audience. Being creative and putting song lyrics in your public speaking because a lot of people will recognize lyrics to music and all of a sudden you get that whole taken up like, oh, wait a minute, that is cool. That's creative. And that definitely like draws their attention back in,
Right.
like, wow, this is kind of cool. I love that. I love that. Great.
It's
Thanks.
beautiful.
And Dee, yeah, connecting to your earlier question, this probably might be a good way for people who are less experienced in the industry or in the public speaking arena. If they want to incorporate some singing or music in their speech, it kind of engages the audience, it brings them together, they will be attentive, and then they can talk about their subject.
And what would you say to them if they feel like they can't sing? Would you encourage them to sing anyway?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, there's nothing like cannot sing.
Right.
You have to you have to make an attempt. It is similar to public speaking. You have to make an attempt to speak. Only then you will overcome that fear, that anxiety. So if you attempt to sing, yeah, it may not be as great as Sinatra, but certainly it will be good.
There's a couple little
Right,
things that have
and
there's a couple little things that have happened in my life regarding singing. My dad used to always say, the Bible says make a joyful noise. It does not say sing like a songbird. It says make a joyful noise. And then
Exactly.
another story, I used to work at the VA in North Carolina. I used to be a nurse. And there was a little Filipina lady that worked there, and she was so funny. And she sang all the time. And she could not carry a tune in a bucket. It was terrible. But having said that, she was so happy when she was singing
Yeah.
that it was infectious. And it always made me smile every time I heard her, even though, like you said, she definitely didn't sound like Frank Sinatra. But it was beautiful
Right.
because she was so happy.
Yeah. Singing music always elevates the spirit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel that she was also comfortable in her own skin. Like she wasn't in that mindset of, oh, what do other people think about my singing? She
Yeah.
was doing it for her. She was doing it for herself. And I think too, it goes back to what you're saying, Raul, about, overcoming that fear. I always say fear is an acronym for face everything and rise.
Yeah.
And pushing through the fear sometimes, because we're all in our heads all the time about so many things. What is this one going to think? What is that one going to think? I have to do it so perfect. It's like, take that expectation off of yourself and
Yeah.
just be authentically you, because the people that are drawn to you, those are your tribe. That's your tribe anyways. Those are
Yeah.
the people that you want to work with, that you want to inspire. So be authentically you. And if you're off tune, so what? That's why we have the echoes in the showers. So you have, like, what? You have to just live and take that chance and be yourself, because to be anything less than authentically you, you're depriving yourself. You
Yes.
really are. At the end of the day, you're so worried about everybody else, about what they're thinking. You're reserving who you authentically are. And that's a shame, because you should be able to just be yourself.
True, and so true, Dawn. I love the way you presented that, because often when people think, and Dee, to your point, when people think that they cannot do a certain thing, invariably they're trying to compare themselves to a base level, pedestal level somewhere. So they are having somebody in mind, and they are saying, "Oh, this guy or person is so good at this. I'm not so good." But as Dawn said, she was very comfortable in her skin.
Yeah.
She was very comfortable in what she was trying to do, and she was trying to do it for herself.
Mhm.
She was happy. She was creating happiness indirectly, right? You felt happy when
She
you heard
was.
her. So
Yes.
she was
Right.
creating happiness.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And I'll never forget that. I mean, it's been, 10 years since I worked with her, and I still remember that. It'll just
It's
be one of
memorable.
those memories that you carry with you forever.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. That is amazing. That is so good. So, what would you like to share with our community? If you can give our community one nugget, one takeaway from all these things that you've experienced thus far, because you have so much more to experience, obviously, but thus far, what nugget of information, what piece of advice would you give to our community that is struggling with trying to be the most authentic self that they can be right now? What would you say to people?
I would say to them, don't worry about the outside world. Yes, you live in the outside world, no doubt. but don't be too much fixated on pleasing others, because you live only once, YOLO, and you live for yourself. So create a life which, in flashback, if you see few years from now, you will be proud that you did XYZ things in life, not just selfishly for yourself, but overall for others too. And I can give a couple of examples from my past, some stories which I am deeply passionate about, which I tried doing, and I still have a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment from the fact that I did those things in the past. So if you're okay, I can share a couple
Please
stories.
do.
Love that.
So so several years back, when I was managing a small team, and in fact, I had joined an organization, and I joined as a project manager, very new, but I had a bit of industry experience. So I still knew what mentoring can do, what coaching can do, and how to help people develop self-confidence. All of those things I had seen my past mentors do. And I've been really fortunate in my life that I've got a couple of great mentors. I've learned a ton from them. And I knew all that, but I did not have enough experience to say, okay, I can lead this whole department. So I still had to gather that experience. But when I joined that organization, somehow our delivery leader, she found that I can make a difference in their organization. I can make a positive difference. So what had happened was they had recruited 24 fresh college graduates from different disciplines, and different meaning absolutely diverse. So somewhere from engineering, somewhere from science, somewhere from commerce. You can think of anything, they were all from there. So it was not even that they had the same aptitude, they had the same technical capability, but they had joined in the same organization group. And the delivery leader told me that, hey, Rahul, I have seen your credentials. I have seen you talking over here in our initial interactions. I strongly feel and confident that you can lead these 24 people. And that momentarily stopped my heart. I said, lead 24 people? What do you mean? She said, don't worry. You just have to mentor them for a 3-month period. Make sure they come up to speed to a level which is similar to the professionals that are there in the organization. So on one hand, it was a relief from what she said earlier, but on the other hand, it was like, okay, I'm pushing you back in deep sea, go swim. And I said, okay, thank you for your confidence, and I'll try my best. And she said, okay, great, let's get started. So she assigned me those 24 individuals. On day one, I met all 24 of them together in a conference room, and it was a sight because they were all so fresh blood. They were enthusiastic. They wanted to make a difference in the organization, but they had very minimal industry experience. Most of them have zero industry experience, straight out of college. And I said, okay, this is going to be very interesting, but I will have to use all of my knowledge that I've gained so far from my mentors and be a good mentor to them. That's it. So I divided that group of 24 into 3 groups. So 8, 8, 8. And I created mock initiatives, projects, activities for them to work on. They had to analyze the situation. They had to design a solution for the problem that I'd given them. They had to come up with that design, the architecture, and potentially a working model. All that was not possible in 3 months, but at least some feel of it they had to come up with. And initially, they felt it very challenging. For the first 2 days, they were like lost. They said, "What have you done to us? Why are you making our life miserable? We are just entering the organization. Why are you troubling us?" And I said, "Trust me, and I trust that you can do this." That one sentence gave them a lot of empowerment.
Mm.
They felt genuinely that they can do this. So from day 3, they started actively huddling together, thinking about different ideas. They used to come to me. I had told them that it's an open door policy for me. So bug me anytime that you wish, unless I'm in a meeting or something, feel free. So they used to come to me, discuss, brainstorm ideas, concerns, questions. And it was an enriching experience for me too, because I had never worked with college grads before, but I was amazed at the enthusiasm that they had shown and the initiative that they had shown. So they used to do that day in, day out for a 1 week period. They continued that. At the end of 1 week, they came up with some nice ideas. And I said, "Guys, this is great. I'm excited. Let's develop these further. Let's develop these further into a blueprint and a process flow. And let's design something which we can then demonstrate to senior leadership." So then they spend the next month and a half or so doing all those activities. All the while, I used to be plugged in intimately with them every single day. So they felt a sense of bonding. It was not that I just delegated something to them and go do it. No, it was my accountability. So even if I had given the work to them, people often mistake delegation as delegation of responsibility.
Mhm.
Responsibility is still with you when you delegate. It's delegation of the authority. Delegation
Right.
of authority to do something, try something. Ultimately, you are still accountable at the end of the day. So I gave them that delegation. They felt nice. They felt empowered. They felt enthusiastic. At the end of a month and a half, or close to 2 months, they came up with those designs. We created process flows, flow charts. We created sort of a working model for how it would look if we designed the system. And then we were ready to present to senior leadership. Senior leadership included senior vice president, directors, architects, so all big shots.
Yeah.
And these guys were fresh out of college, so I can understand their heart pumping at 200 beats per minute.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but what I told them is, don't worry, I'm always with you. It's not that you're presenting something and I'm not going to be there. I will be there in that room. Anything that you feel like circling back, I'm always there, and I can cover you, I can answer your questions. To my surprise, they came for presentations one after the other. They presented in groups. The group dynamics was so strong. It was so encouraging. They presented something to the senior leaders. It was a half a day workshop kind of a thing we did. At the end of the half a day, the senior vice president, he was a guy who was also the founder of the company.
Wow.
And that is a huge, big role. So he came up. He said, "Rahul, first off, kudos to you. This has never, ever been done in our organization with raw talent fresh out of college. So kudos to you." And I said, "Sir, respectfully, it's not my credit. It is all of them working together. They have been inspirational for me. I have just mentored them, I have handheld them, I have provided guidance, but they have inspired me." And they felt really nice about it. All of them felt really nice, all 24 of them. 6 months down, there was another award ceremony for our group where we had excelled in a particular program. And there was an award given for best managed team and motivated team. They were awarding that to me. So I had gone to receive that award on the stage, and they asked me to speak a couple lines. The first line that came out of my mouth is, "This award does not belong to me." And people were surprised. What do you mean? So I said, "This award does not belong to me. It belongs to everybody who has worked along with me in this program to make it successful, to exceed expectations. It's not my alone." And I told them that there is a bunch of people who is sitting in the meeting room over there, brainstorming of how we can improve things, how we can upgrade the documentation to be sent to the client tomorrow. We don't have time. So they told me, "Rahul, you can go and accept the award. We will cover for you. We will do the work." And it is an immense sense of gratitude that I had for them, because that was my dream team. So I told them that if you have to give the award, it is for them. It's not for me. They are making it possible for us. I'm just the face of the team. They are the real heart of the team.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That's amazing. And talk about humbleness.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I really felt it. It was not humbleness. I really felt that they deserved to be mentioned, to be recognized, because otherwise what happens usually in corporates is only the leader gets the award, leader gets recognized, and the team keeps slogging every day.
Right. And a little appreciation goes a long way. That's what I've found in, jobs that I do, where I feel appreciated. I will go so far above and beyond to do more. And I feel like that's generally the way it works with most people, is if they get that appreciation, it's not even the recognition as much as it's the appreciation from their leadership, because they're recognized for the hard work that they do, and they're appreciated for it. And that's a huge skill set for new people coming on, just, wet behind the ears, as my dad would have said. They're babies in the industry, and they come in and they don't know what to do, and they to have someone mentor them and guide them, and then also appreciate them. And you mentioned the word trust earlier, and I think that speaks loudly of the level of trust that you provided them with. And I'm sure reciprocated that, because you could tell in the job they did that they reciprocated that trust in you. And that's a very big thing. That's amazing. I love that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Many of them, it's a sense of pride for me that many of them are now leaders in their respective industry segments. They are still in contact with me from time to time. We chat either on LinkedIn or on phone, and it's great.
That's amazing.
Absolutely, because you've built that relationship with them, and they're always going to be, like, you know what I'm saying? They're a part of your life, you're a part of theirs, and even though they're doing their own thing, and there's a level of respect there. And honestly, in my experience, every leader that I ever worked for or with, it was very rare for me to have that, team environment, so to speak. A lot of leaders that I've worked with throughout my career, they were so self-absorbed. So for me to hear this is a breath of fresh air, because there is a lot of leadership out there that will just take the credit and will say, yes, it's an award. It's me. It's the ego. It's ego, right? And it's not recognizing that everybody is equal.
Yeah.
Right? There's a level of equality that every person involved put heart and soul into something, and they're no better than the person next to them. Everybody is equal. And that's really important too, to, say about this, because you didn't have this ego like most leaders have of I'm better than. No, you were all equal in this, and that's what I respect so much about it. That's why I said so humble, because that's the first word that genuinely came in my heart for you, was the humbleness, the gratitude, not taking people for granted. And I just wish that more leaders were like that out there, because people that come from, graduating college and getting out into the world, they're fresh, they don't know, especially getting into a new industry. A lot of people nowadays expect you to know everything right away, and there's no compassion, there's no gracious period, there's no just patience. People need to learn, and people need to grow, and there needs to be more leaders out there that inspire and that humble themselves enough to know that they were once in that position. They were once in those new recruit shoes, and people tend to forget where they come from. They get to a level of status and they think they're better than or superior than other people. So I commend you for that, Raul, because I think that's so important for people to understand that, we all put our pants on the same way. We all bleed the same color, so to speak, and we are all equal. We're all here to serve a purpose, to generally work together, to create beauty in the world, whatever that looks like in any of our industries.
Yeah.
Right. So I really commend you for that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you. And I know this brings a quote, a famous quote. I think it is by Simon Sinek, that I love. It says, leadership is not about being in charge, but it's about taking care of those in your charge. And it
I
is so
love
true.
that. It is. Yeah. My dad used to say there's a difference between being a boss and a leader. Anyone can be a boss. It takes someone special to be a leader. Yeah,
That's right.
that's
That is
beautiful.
right. I love that.
Uh,
Oh, this has been a wonderful conversation. I am so, so humbled and grateful that you came on the podcast today and shared your story with us. And I definitely know that we'll be putting your contact information into the description box if anyone needs to get a hold of you, as well as mine. Dee, I know we're going to put all our information is going to be in the descriptions, because as you guys know, Dee and I are coaches as well. So you kind of have coaches in all different areas here, which I think is great. And I can't thank you enough for being on the podcast with us today and sharing your story. And thank you so, so much for your time.
It has been a true pleasure, Dawn and Dee. Ever since we spoke the first time, I genuinely felt that there was a connect, a human connect somewhere whenever we spoke. And our topics are so important for people, especially these days. And there's one quote that Dee, I was speaking to you, and Dawn, I was speaking to you, which was on a placard in my childhood home. And that quote really reminds me every single day that this life is a gift for you. So the quote is by Swami Vivekananda. Most of us know who he was. It says, "This life is a great chance. Seek for the highest, aim at the highest, and you shall reach the highest."
I love that.
I love
Shall
that.
reach the highest, shall reach it. That's amazing. I love it.
That's right.
Thank you again so much, Raul. And we will have you back on again. I've enjoyed this so much, and I know Dawn has too. We would love to have you back again, and we'll continue this conversation, because I think it's been amazing.
Yep. Likewise, it has been a pleasure and a great experience sharing some of your views also. Dee and Dawn, both you shared some of your views, so it has been great. I'm sure some of the discussion points that we had today will be helpful to people. Don't hesitate to contact me. I will share information for my contact with Dawn and Dee, and you can get in touch with me. And I want to make sure that I can help as many people in this world as possible, because as I said, this life is a great chance. So why not spend that helping people? It's not just me in isolation on an island. So we all have to help each other.
Absolutely.
That's right. And that's
said.
why we started this podcast, because we're on the same mission. We want to reach as many people and help as many people as possible. And if we could learn and grow from each other, it makes a world of a difference when we can come together and unite and help people. And you know, that's the passion of mine. Dee, I know it's a passion of yours.
It is.
So, I mean, we have 3 great people on this platform today that their soul's purpose is to help others and genuinely help others from our hearts. So I couldn't ask for a better conversation today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, and we will talk
All
again
right.
soon.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the afternoon and a great week ahead.
Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thanks. Bye-bye.